Republicans just further showed how unserious they are about actually addressing the border, as a main pushback you would hear on that bill is, oh, Democrats are just trying to send aid to other countries. It's all the aid to other countries. That's why Republicans are blocking it. It has nothing to do with the border. Well, Senate Republicans just voted to advance a bill that includes all the same foreign funding, just dropping the border negotiations, showing that most of them actually do support this foreign aid, as the vote was 67-27, approving $60 billion to help Kyiv, $14 billion for the genociders in Israel, and $10 billion in assistance for conflict zones like Taiwan. Now, we'll get into the fact that every Democrat voted yes to further fund Israel, but starting with Ukraine, we covered in our last video how most of the money stays in America, funding ammo factories and buying weapons from U.S. contractors, which would create U.S. jobs, boost our economy. And right-wingers in my comments were saying, oh, how dumb is Ukraine aid? Oh, Biden only wants to do it for his bribes. And every weak far-right talking point you hear ever, well, plenty of Republicans have now came out in support of this Ukraine aid, including Mitch McConnell, as he stated that as global powers, we should not disregard our interest in global power or pretend that global aggressors are not also our issue. This becomes increasingly important when you hear Trump saying things in speeches like Russia can do whatever they want to NATO allies and he won't invoke Article 5. And it's also important to note the only time Article 5 was ever invoked was in our defense after 9/11. And multiple Republicans have spoken out against these words, basically lambasting him for having no idea on what he's talking about and just speaking ignorantly. $48 billion of this Ukraine aid would go directly to our own Department of Defense, $8 million directly to the Inspector General to provide oversight in the area on how we're being used and if we should continue to provide this aid. $2.6 billion would go to our Department of Defense to boost capabilities in Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific to strategically combat China's aggression and then progressing forward with their combat movements, and $10.6 billion are being used to support Israel and its absolutely disgraceful actions. The part that gets me is every Democrat voted yes on more funding to Israel. Bernie Sanders is the only left-leaning member to vote no, effectively continuing the genocide, and this is also in the wake of cutting UNRWA funding, the organization that provides necessary humanitarian aid to those in Gaza, and millions of their citizens rely on this aid. And again, most of the population, I think 40% of the population is 14 or younger, and most of them are women or children. So we're defunding the women and children being attacked and on board with sending $14 billion to the aggressors. I guess Biden is pushing for peace talks and private conversations with Netanyahu, but that's just not enough. Especially at the point that he's not taking your advice. We should take a stand as a global power in multiple facets. I mean, one, if you're not going to listen to us while we're funding you, why are we backing you anyway? And then also, we should be telling them that they're going too far and we're not going to stand behind them doing so and committing war crimes, something that the ICJ has labeled clearly could be defined as genocide. We're taking baby steps with things like the U.S. sanctions on Israeli settlers or private pushes for peace talks. And we are far better than we would be with the likes of Trump, how he defunded UNRWA completely last time that he was president, and would probably go much further this time to appease his bloodthirsty base. But at some point, just being better than the other guy isn't good enough. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video. We even have memberships available as low as $3 if you'd like to support, because the only way we become a society is together.